what's up, everybody? It's your boy Kdub back with another video. And shout out to everybody that's watching and supporting the channel. Now, it is a coincidence that Police Chief Erika Shields, resigned after this story went viral. Like after a man died from being shot by the Atlanta police went viral. The police chief of Atlanta actually resigns from that, and it's obviously that she's, trying to hide fame, trying to get away from, the noise and all that shit. And she already has like the mayor to, back her up, which you should already know that, women back each other up, for whatever. Like no matter what. But it is what it is at this point. But it does show that police ain't shit, man. And these politicians ain't shit as well, because they're doing whatever it takes to back each other up and try to calm down the noise as much as possible. And it's kind of funny that the NAACP is calling her for her, well, quote unquote, called her to step down. Like, yeah, like y'all did something for all these years. But let me actually play the video of actually what she said about what happened with Rayshard Brooks and him being shot for like a DUI stop. So I'm actually gonna play for the video so y'all can hear and see what she got to say and understand what she's coming from.
Tragically, the most recent incident involved the fatal shooting of a 27-year-old man, Rayshard Brooks. Officers were called in response to Mr. Brooks falling asleep in his car while in the drive-through line at a local Wendy's. After a series of questions and administering a field sobriety test, officers attempted to arrest Mr. Brooks. While attempting to handcuff Mr. Brooks, he tussled with the officers and was able to take the taser from one of the arresting officers. As Mr. Brooks ran away, he turned over his shoulder and appears to fire the taser at one of the officers. The officer in turn shot Mr. Brooks with his service weapon.
In other words, shot him with his gun. For people that don't know what service weapon is, because you gotta pay attention to what certain people say. Like, we all know that the officer shot him with a gun because he's dead. And also, if she says she shot him with a gun, it's gonna really get people really pissed off and make the situation look a lot worse than it already is. Now it's already bad that that officer shot and killed him, even though he actually ran away and shot the officer with the taser, and obviously trying to run away from them because he don't want to get killed by them, but sadly he did. But he shouldn't die over a damn DUI stop, and definitely shouldn't be shot and killed over him falling asleep in a damn drive-thru. Like, are you serious right now? Like, this man literally died for falling asleep at a Wendy's drive-thru. Meanwhile, you have a video that's actually going viral on Twitter, which I noticed on Twitter is going viral, that this white guy, when he first played a video, his ass is all out and shit, and he's actually getting tussled by these two officers. One of them's a woman, one of them's they're both white, but one of them's a woman, one of them's a man. So while this guy's getting tussled by these cops, he actually took one of the sticks and started beating them with it Then he was able to get them off of him. He starts getting to the police cruiser. Lock the door so the officer that's a guy wouldn't get in. And I don't know what the hell the chick was doing. I don't know if she was still on the ground or whatever. Like, she wasn't doing anything right after he while the guy was beating her with a stick. So, and not the stick that, like a regular, like, wooden stick, like the stick that officers carry around with. But he got in the car, locked the door. He actually backed up, hit it in reverse, backed up away from them, and then drove off and shit. And the crazy thing about that is that guy didn't get shot at all. Like, the officers didn't pull out a gun. They didn't pull out a taser. None of that. So this just amazed me that people saying, if you hadn't resisted arrest, you wouldn't get shot. The same argument that white people use all the time when a black person gets shot. But let me play the rest of the video.
While there may be debate as to whether this was an appropriate use of deadly force, I firmly believe that there is a clear distinction between what you can do and what you should do. I do not believe that this was a justified use of deadly force and have called for the immediate termination of the officer. What has become abundantly clear over the last couple of weeks in Atlanta is that while we have a police force full of men and women who work alongside our communities with honor, respect, and dignity, there has been a disconnect with what our expectations are and should be as it relates to interactions with our officers and the communities in which they are entrusted to protect. Chief Erika Shields has been a solid member of APD for over 2 decades and has a deep and abiding love for the people of Atlanta. And because of her desire that Atlanta be a model of what meaningful reform should look like across this country, Chief Shields has offered to immediately step aside as police chief so that the city may move forward with urgency in rebuilding the trust so desperately needed throughout our communities.
Stop right there. Now, since we got that out of the way, let's actually read this article that I'm getting in front of me right now. So, and it says up here, it does say up here, Atlanta police chief resigns after another deadly police involved shooting. Mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms announced Atlanta police chief Erika Shields' resignation during a news conference on Saturday. Atlanta police chief Erika Shields has resigned, according to city mayor Keisha Lance Bottoms. Shields had served in the position since December 2016. Shields will continue with the department in a role to be determined. It has become abundantly clear that over the last couple of weeks in Atlanta is that while we have a police force full of men and women who work alongside our communities with honor, respect, and dignity, Bottom said in a statement, there has been a disconnect with what our expectations are and should be as it relates to interactions with our officers in the communities in which they are entrusted to protect. Erika, and this is where she starts kissing Erika Shields' ass and shit, doing a lot of lip service. Chief Erika Shields has been solid member of APD for over 2 decades and has a deep and